Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Poem Masters video, and today let's talk a bit about the new ultimate steel type damage dealer. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Tate, Summer Tate 2 weeks ago. But it's still really good, presumably. Steel type damage dealer, because there are a few things that we're not certain yet with this unit. So we kind of have to like wait and see first, but anyways, it's a good unit. It's a good unit. Let's get into this. So Rose and GMax Copperajah, which as usual will, well, you know what? I guess I can't promise these anymore, but hopefully we'll be able to pull for it live when it drops later tonight. So tune in, maybe, I don't know. All right, so yeah, this unit is he's a striker, damage dealer, right? Straight up. As for the stats, there are a few slightly concerning things, the speed being one, right? 239 speed is not that great. All the other stats are not, crazy. The attack is fine, though. The attack is, pretty decent. And if you look at the moves, it's like Iron Head, Stone Edge, High Horsepower, so you do get 3 different types, right? It's not, it's a Galarian unit, mostly, not all of them, but most of them generally do have, like, 3 different types of moves. Mostly just to accommodate their different max moves, right? So you're not just getting a steel type damage dealer, you also get someone who could do some rock type damage, could do some ground type damage as well, which is pretty nice, right? So yeah, but they do all cost 4 gauges at 239 speed, which is again pretty slow, right? Mostly due to hit the gas 5, so these moves won't hit like a feather, because otherwise if they're just your usual 3 gauge moves, they will not hit very hard. But with that extra boost, it makes them makes them better, right? So Iron Head 165, the 5/5 by the way. This is BP at 5/5, 180 Stone Edge, and then 190 on High Horsepower. So yeah, they're not bad. So, yeah, obviously Iron Head, the flinch part as well. As for the trainer move, it does give you +6 to your attack and +3 to your crit. So one trainer move, you click it once, boom, you're at maxed out offensive stats, right? So that's really good. You have also an extra physical move up next one. And then you debuff your speed by 2. So there is that, unfortunately. Right? So yeah, that's that part's slightly tough. As for your sync, it's just a regular striker sync. Nothing too special there. But yeah, as for your other passives, you do have P moves and max moves expansion, which, when a move is used by the Pokemon, target itself or an ally is successful, the target becomes all allied sync pairs. When a move is used by the user's Pokemon that targets an opponent is successful, the target becomes all opposing sync pairs. When the user's max move attacks an opponent, the target becomes all opposing sync pairs. The power and chance of applying additional effects of moves and max moves affected by this passive skill are not lowered even if there are multiple targets. So it's basically the extended thing, right? So all your moves hit all the opponents for equal amounts of damage, so there's no that split damage thing, right? So you don't get that split damage, you don't get the split chances of the flinch over here either, right? So that's really good. And on top of that, you also get the same for your max moves, right? So you have AOE max moves, and if you guys have seen Victor ever cook, obviously Victor is really nice with that AOE max move thing. So yeah, this is pretty cool, right? So you got GMax Steel Surge, all of them 480 BP at 5/5, right? And then max Rockfall, you get Sandstorm, max Quake, you get special defense buffs. For a team in the max Steel Surge, you get Steel Damage Field Effect to the opponent's field of play. We'll have to see exactly how much damage that deals. I'm assuming it's probably just going to be the same as Rock Damage Field, right? Which is the ones from Bertha, which is not that good, unfortunately, right? But yeah, we'll see, right? And then yeah, as for anything else, by the way, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that the trainer move doesn't apply to the AOE thing, just because it mentions when a move used by the user's Pokemon that targets itself or an ally, right? That's a trainer move, not a Pokemon move, or as I call it, P move. So I don't think it applies. So yeah, for those wondering, probably shouldn't, right? So anyways, moving on, let's go over the grid in terms of how many copies you want for this unit if you're trying to go for him, right? At 1 out of 5, you do have your AOE max move, right? You got your AOE, all that stuff, so you should be dealing solid amounts of damage at 1 out of 5, right, with the AOE flinch thing as well. There are a few things that I would say you don't really get at 1 out of 5 that slightly sucks. So, yeah, like, damage isn't everything, right? Damage is definitely not everything with this unit, and its damage is good, right? Damage is, or should be good, but there are a lot of other things that you need to look at when trying to use this unit, one of them being gauges, right? So, at 1 out of 5, you don't really get too much gauge stuff. Oh, yeah, that's the other passive. Powers up steel type moves, right? Use moves, never miss. So, we're not sure how much it powers it up by, or it could be 30%, could be 50%. We'll see, right? So, that's, again, that's the question mark still on this unit, yet to be resolved, so, yeah. But yeah, 1 out of 5, you don't have any gauge stuff, right? So, at 2 out of 5, you do get move gauge refresh 9 on Ironhead, which is very, very helpful. Very helpful. Sync freebie could be helpful as well. Although at 2 out of 5, you probably don't really want to sync with him unless you're just really just going for that sync freebie. Just because he doesn't really have his sync nuke multiplier yet, is you get his multiplier at 3 out of 5. Haymakers at 3 out of 5, right? But yeah, as for other stuff, you get MGR 3 on both Stone Edge and High Horsepower. Obviously, that's not MGR 9, but it's still something, I guess. Max Super Preparation is nice, right? You get a super effective up next after using the max move, especially since he is that, you know, AoE no split damage, right? So that is really nice to have. Assuming the opponents are still alive after that AoE max move, right? And, you know, the assumption over here is you're fighting super effective, so if it's sync boosted, I'm pretty sure most opponents will be taken out by that, but, you know, we'll see, right? What else we got? So there's interference immunity, Sands of Time. I mean, that could help with the gauges, but you would have to run him in Sand, and he doesn't really get anything else in Sand, so I'm not sure if that's like a great deal, right? But on the other hand, you know, it's a free gauge thing pickup if you are running him as a rock type damage dealer, so you get that max rock fall for the Sandstorm, so he gets sand himself that way. But yeah, 3 out of 5, that's where you get your big sync nuke. You get your extra 100 BP on all 3 of your max moves, right? You get max countdown there as well. Furious Brawn, there's an extra, you know, regular move multiplier. Surging Sand, same thing, right? Regular move multiplier there. And then you have this, the steel damage field on opponent sync power up 5, extra 50% to your sync when there's a steel damage field on the opponent's field of play, which is really, really nice. And one of the main things why you'd want to use that steel damage field at all, because otherwise you're just really using it for the damage, I feel, most of the time. So yeah, there's that. That's yeah, 3 out of 5. Again, you do get a big nuke. I'd say 2 out of 5 is pretty nice just because of the move gauge refresh 9, right? 3 out of 5, you get a bit more damage. Well, not a bit more damage, a lot more damage, right? Especially with the sync damage, right? You get a lot on the sync damage, you get a lot on the max move damage, right? And get a decent amount on your regular move damage as well. So there's that. 4 out of 5. The defense crush is low-key kind of nice just because it's AoE, right? Being physical and all. And then GMax Steel Surge over here, an extra 100. That's going to be pretty big as well. So can't really say anything too bad about it. It's just, yeah, they're not bad nodes. And then 5 out of 5, you get Impervious, which is nice just because, you know, you don't get that -2 speed debuff on your train move. And then you also get this, which, as long as there's, you know, the steel damage field on the opponent's field of play, you just get free move next. Look, the steel damage field doesn't last forever, but you'll get all the free move next you could get, right? Just, again, just he's so slow, right? So you, it's appreciated. So yeah, the 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 are worth considering, at least, right? I won't say go for it, but if you do have the resources, you could consider it because they're kind of nice, right? So there's that. Okay, now for some just sync grid, lucky skills, team comps, all that stuff, right? In terms of lucky skill. There's a few ways you could go with this one. The first one is like low key, just run like haste on him. It's called haste, right? The one where, you know, his speed doesn't get debuffed. So you just, yeah, it's rough, man. It's rough. It is rough. It is rough. So yeah, that is low key a really nice option you could go for, because -2 speed on a pretty slow unit already is, it hurts, man. It hurts. But yeah, you could still go with your usual crit strike, super powered, whatever, right? But I'd vouch for haste personally. Anyways, outside of that, let's talk about the grid. At 1 out of 5, I think you could be able to pick up everything. If not, you know, just pick up the Iron Head, the high horsepower, Stone Edge power-ups, all that stuff, right? And then just like the speed nodes, attack nodes. Yeah. So 2 out of 5. Again, it just really depends on like which move you're using, right? If you're doing Iron Head, then pick the Iron Head stuff, right? Max preparation. Double down if you're syncing with them. If you're not syncing with them, then no point really, I guess. What else? Oh, you could probably go for that attack +10 and this speed +5 as well over here. And if you're running him in Sand, then Sands of Time. Although, again, probably not running him in Sand. I don't know. It depends. You could be, right? Because there are a few, you know, other Steel-type units that do run in Sand, like a Raihan or whatever. But so I guess you could do something like that. Otherwise, if you are syncing with them, then please go for the sync freebie. You can maybe just drop the, you know, maybe one extra, you know, something like that, and you can still have the rest of that. And I guess very similar rules apply for like all the other types, right? Again, just getting the move gauge refresh is just kind of a big deal, right? So please get the move gauge refresh. There is like a +6 over here for high horsepower, which is nice. But otherwise, yeah, just pick up some of these power-ups, and then again, same thing with Stone Edge, right? Same idea with Stone Edge over here. It's pretty much the same stuff, right? So okay, for 3 out of 5, let's go for one for like a sync first, right? Because if you do have an EX, so Striker EX, especially if you are fighting like Steel Weak Sages, right? A big, you know, EX Striker nuke, and then like an AOE max move versus, again, especially Master Mode Sages, that would pretty much destroy most, if not all, Steel Weak Master Mode Stages, as long as they don't have like, you know, Sentry Entry or whatever, right? Or they have a crit shield up by the time you sync them, or again, just outside of special circumstances, they should probably get taken out, right? With one Striker EX nuke and then one AOE max move. They might even get taken out by just one of those. Who knows? If not, you know, you still got one more AOE Iron Head that you could throw at them, right? 4 gauge Iron Head. But yeah, if you just want to go for like all this, right? The big moves, if you want to clear them in one, you know, fell swoop, then you could probably go for something like this. If you want something a bit more, I guess, balanced to, you know, do a bit more damage as well, you could probably drop the nodes for Fierce Brawn. Actually, I feel like you could probably, yeah, you could do something like that and just pick up Fierce Brawn for maybe a bit longer stages. But yeah, that's the thing with this unit, right? Like, yeah, he does have gauge issues, but on the other hand, like, you know, he's mainly built for short stages anyways, where you just go in, you buff yourself, you get like a hit or two in, you get your Striker EX sync in, then you get your AOE max move in, and then you clear the stage, and you're done, right? You're not really trying to drag it out super long or whatever. So, but if you are, there's always this move gauge refresh 10 over here that could be helpful. I probably drop this, right? Actually, we drop the double down. Can we afford to drop it? Seems like that's a no. We're one short. That's so sad. Anyways, okay. Well, sure, I guess. You probably actually no. Yeah. Or you could do something like this. Double down the sync move power up node right all the way up here. That could be something really nice. Again, with the extra move gauge refresh on the iron head, right? If you want to lean more into the DPS and not really syncing, you just lose a decent amount of like his stuff if you're not syncing or like available to really pick up stuff if you're not syncing. But I guess you could do something like that. Right, if you're just mainly going for the DPS aspect of his kit, you're syncing with someone else, blah blah, right? So maybe something like this would be a bit better. As for some of the other types, right, if you're going rock type, obviously you want to do the rock part, and I'm assuming you're not going to be syncing with him if you're doing the other types, because the sync is not rock type. Since you're probably going to be using the max move, might as well pick up stuff like Sands of Time, Surging Sand 3, right, and all that other sand stuff that he has. So you go for that. And again, same applies for the other side in terms of the high horsepower, right? You get the max quake over here. And since you don't have too much of the other stuff, I guess in certain scenarios you probably would have sand there as well. You could pick up Surging Sand or Sands of Time, right? Depending on, which you need a bit more. If you are, again, running sand with him with high horsepower, which that happens a decent amount, I guess, right? With ground type teams. So yeah, pick up more speed, always. Yeah. Also, you could have picked up Sand Shelter as well. I don't generally feel like it's that big of a. He does have like enough HP. I feel like just to tank, face tank the sand. All right. So as for 4 out of 5, yeah, this is mostly just like the max move stuff with the GMax Steel Surge. I'm assuming you're going for Steel Week, right? So you probably would also be syncing with them. In this case, you could probably run something like this, I believe, right? Which could be actually, could you afford? No, you're one short over there. But yeah. You get one sync move power up. No, you get the defense crush. You get Haymaker, right? You could, because you only really need to use your trainer move once, right? So before you sync, you could probably get 2 of these AOE physical defense debuffs in, and then you get your sync in for the just the extra damage with the defense debuffs. So that could be nice. Hopefully your gauges keep up. Good luck on that, I guess. Oh, actually, you could actually pick up both, right? If you pick this up instead of the Iron Head there. So yeah, that's probably what you could be doing with the 4 out of 5. And then this one, 5 out of 5. Again, it's steel damage field, so this would have to only apply to like the steel type version, as well, right? So yeah, in this case, you'd probably be doing something similar, I guess, right? You don't have enough for everything. I'd probably lean more towards I don't know, again, I feel like it more so depends on like how long the stage you're fighting. If it's a longer stage, maybe you just try to keep the defense crush in there, right? And you can maybe drop like the GMax Steel Surge, go through there. Obviously, you'd have to drop another one of those sync move power up nodes. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I guess that's really what it's for. Because if you're going for, again, just shorter battles, you probably don't need the extra gauge stuff, right? So yeah, it's something like this, I suppose. Or maybe even if you want, I feel like you could even do something like this instead, right? Where you could have the Furious Broncos again. If it's going to be a bit longer, might as well utilize the extra DPS he gets from these the big AOEs, right? But again, there just doesn't seem like there's too many stages that really require all that, right? Other than, I guess, in the future, if there's any like steel type high score events, right, and you want to go drum up the score a lot, so there could be that, right? So anyways, as for team comps, I guess one you could go for is with Pound times Marnie, obviously to set the Steel Zone, and then also Ho-Oh, Singsu, Morty, and Shiny Ho-Oh for the gauges, because you need gauges, right? And Ho-Oh's really good at that, right? Also solid tank, all that stuff. Obviously he's not like the only option there. There's you know, other options you could probably go for. Sonia's a bit more budget version of that. She is not as good as Ho-Oh in terms of speed wise, but she does have that catalytic whatever healing thing that could help maybe, and she does slowly get some speed for your team, slowly, but yeah, yeah, just because again, like almost all steel type damage dealers are slow, right? There's like a few fast ones like Mullane, right? But most of them are pretty slow, unfortunately. So yeah, I guess you could do something like that. Tapu Bulu, if you just want to go for the damage, he does have the Pep Rally on the training move, right? He's not like crazy bad in terms of gauges, especially if you do have the recharging strike, could help a bit. But yeah, it's rough. Again, gauges will be pretty tough overall. So yeah, it's not gonna be a really good time most of the time on that front, I guess. So yeah, that's your main thing, I guess. Skyla, if you really have like nothing else. Yeah, you don't have to run Mari though, right? You could go for something where instead of that you pick up this Steven, right? SC Steven. This will be a lot better on gauges, right? And again, he doesn't do damage himself. He doesn't set Steel Zone order, but he could supplement a lot of that damage with all the other stuff he has, right? The rebuff, the defense debuffs, the physical move up next, super effective up next. So he could be a nice option there, and then you could have a bit more freedom with your support over here on the other side, right? You could also run Tate as well. I know one special, one physical, but Tate is the best steel type damage dealer, so you could do that, which in that case I guess you won't have to run Marnie if you don't have Marnie or whatever, so that could be an option. As for the support, again, you don't really have to buff Rose's stats at all. You just have to make sure, you know. Actually, Tate, doesn't Tate also... oh, Tate does have move gauge acceleration, which does help, right? And Tate is much faster than Marnie, so you do also have that when you are running him, and he also does have the chance of buffing your game speed as well, right? So Tate's actually a really nice option. Oh, it's ramp up and charm. Okay, so yeah, maybe get like a special support over here just to max out Tate's stats, because you don't really want to be spending like ramp up over here, right? Or you could always go with Champion Bead, assuming the gauges work out. But yeah, like a free unit could be like Xerneas, I guess, right? In relatively shorter stages, just because actually Tate does have one. You know what? Xerneas might work, I guess. If you don't have some of the other options. Obviously Brennan's really good over there. Cresselia could work, right? Cresselia could work, I feel. Again, Morty could still work here as well, right? If you sync with him just to max out the special attack stat and all that, right? So yeah, there's a few options. There's a few options over here. So yeah, in terms of any other steel type damage dealers to really run with, again, a lot of them are just tough on gauges. One that's maybe not as bad on gauges, I guess, again, Mullane, but Mullane's not like crazy good offensively. But yeah, Gloria, especially if you do have her 5 out of 5, she does have that extra steel type rebuff, which could help as well. But yeah, Gloria is relatively good on gauges. She has a move gauge boost for one. She's 400 plus speed, alright? She has a lot of, well, 2 move gauge refresh, 2's on Behemoth Blade. I know she's another 4 gauge damage dealer, but she does have relatively decent gauge. You would still need a gauge support over here though, right? Don't get me wrong. but you know, I guess she could also potentially work out here in some scenarios. So as for some of the pros and cons, first of all, it has 3 different types of moves, and then you know the AOE, you know, 3 different types of AOE max moves as well, right? He does have a pretty good striker sync. It's not like the best though of like the steel type strikers, right? You know, Gloria and Raihan do have a higher ceiling than he does, but you know, it's not bad, right? It's definitely like, you know, almost 3 million is nothing to scoff at for a striker, so that's pretty darn good. Again, like his DPS, all that, like numbers aren't like 100% certain yet. We really can't say, right? Until we really try him out. So again, like the numbers will just here, just to really have a rough idea at the moment, right? So I'm not really gonna go over them in detail, but they should be pretty good. They should be pretty good. His max move damage isn't like crazy, right? But it's also not like terrible either. So yeah, but it's like AOE though, right? So like it's still like, yeah, it's still like having like a second AOE striker nuke in there for fun, right? So anyways, also the one move, you know, set up on his trainer moves, really easy, nice. He has Sandstorm, his AOE flinch, right? There's no split damage or split rates on that AOE flinch as well. And then you have the AOE defense buff at, I believe, was it 4 out of 5, right? Which does bring me to some of the cons. First of all, gauges, obviously that's the number one, easily the number one big issue with this unit. The gauges suck, they're terrible, they're not very good. There are some remedies, there's, you know, it's not 100% no hope here. You do have move gauge refresh 9 on Ironhead. You do have like Sands of Time, I guess. You do have the free move next in Seal Damage Field. But again, comes at 5 out of 5, right? So there are some really nice and helpful 4 out of 5 nodes, but they are locked behind 4 out of 5. So that's kind of the issue there, right? So that's some of the downsides, I guess, with this unit. Overall, again, barring anything crazy happens with his passive, which is still slightly unknown in terms of how much damage, or at least like we can't really confirm it right now, right? How much damage it could potentially output. It's a good unit, right? It's definitely a nice unit. It's one of those, again, AOE no split damage sort of types, and he should have pretty good DPS, right? Unless the passive just totally disappoints, but it should have pretty solid DPS. The chances of it being the best steel type DPS, I don't think is very high, right? Or the best, you know, whatever other type DPS, right? I don't feel like it's very high. Tate should have that one. So if you are looking for like a purely like just a steel type damage healer, I would definitely recommend the Summer Tate and Jirachi more than this GMax Copperajah. But what this guy again does have an advantage in is it's not just steel type, right? You have the Stone Edge option, you have the high horsepower option, right? It gives you ground and rock and their AOE max moves, right? Which is a lot better than just, you know, having Stone Edge or high horsepower, right? So yeah, he's probably not like the best steel type option, but for this one unit, you get like 3 different types of offensive capabilities over here, which is, I'd say, a pretty solid deal, right? As long as you can manage his gauge issues, he's a really nice unit, especially for mass mode, right? Especially for mass mode, and especially if you are missing some of those types. So overall, I'd say probably like a 8 out of 10, right? Again, it really depends on if you can manage the gauge issues, right? If you can manage the gauge issues, fantastic. This guy's he's gonna rock, right? If you can't, then it's gonna be a bit of a struggle, and you might be a bit disappointed. But I'd say overall still a really nice unit, right? So anyways, yeah, that's me this one. I guess hope you all enjoyed. Guys, think in the comments down below. Like, enjoy the videos from our channel for some more Pokemon Masters content. Hopefully, I would be able to go live later tonight to pull for him, so stay tuned for that, I guess, and I'll see you guys next one then. Good luck to all who are pulling.